All right, so there's liftoff once again. Virgin Galactic completing its first commercial space flight, taking 2 Italian Air Force personnel, an engineer, and a Virgin Galactic astronaut instructor to the edge of space. Meanwhile, Virgin says it has a backlog of nearly 800 people who want on the wait list. This all coming the week, of course, after the Titan sub disaster, which has raised questions over the safety of this kind of quote-unquote extreme tourism. Joining us now, Michelle Hanlon, the co-director of the Center for Air and Space Law at the University of Mississippi, also the editor-in-chief of the Journal of Space Law. Michelle, good to have you. We all now here on the panel have a space attorney that we can we can turn to. Good to have one on the Rolodex. With Virgin launching this, 800 people, by the way, like 450 grand a pop now is the ticket. What are you looking at as far as this industry goes in extreme tourism? We obviously had a lot of focus on going under the water the last week, but now talking about continuing to bring people up into space.
So space is the future. So when I see that there's 800 people on the waiting list, I'm thrilled because these people are going to spend their money to help us learn how to do this better and help us learn how to do this safely. And when we look at Titan and Ocean Gate and we think about people going to the Titanic and looking at the high seas, I think that's really interesting. But fundamentally, when you think about going to space, you're thinking about the future of humanity. You're thinking about building communities in space. You're thinking about harnessing the resources of space. It's a much, much bigger plan and opportunity.
Well, you mentioned 800 on the waiting list. As far as a decade from now, where is space travel?
Space travel is like air travel. It's going to cause, as long as
delays at the airports.
Well, yeah, hopefully not. You know, probably more time getting to the airport than you'll spend on your space flight ever. But no, when you look back at aviation, it was really expensive when it first started, and that's what we're looking at now. Only really rich people could fly, and they would fly just to go have lunch in the air for the, just for the fun of it. That's what we're seeing right now. And look, now we're seeing airports so congested that we can't even get out.
So can I ask you, are you going to see different countries with different standards? So in the U.S., it might take X to get on board a flight, whereas in another country, they might have lower standards, and we're going to have to be careful as to where, if someone wanted to go, where they left from?
Absolutely, and this is actually one of the biggest issues with respect to space law, not just for safety, but also for our industry, because if somebody has lesser regulations than us, then people are going to go flock to that other nation, the flag country. But we do have precedents on Earth. We have ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organization, which has safety standards that everybody has signed on to, every country. And we also actually have a treaty for outer space, the Outer Space Treaty, and Article 6 says that every country has to authorize and supervise and is responsible for what their nationals do. So the United States, China, always will be responsible, even if it's a commercial entity.
You know, Michelle, it's hard to talk about, but you say people will go into space and people will die, that there will be accidents, it's going to happen. If and when that happens, you worry about overregulation, right? Isn't that part of the concern, especially after what we've seen with the Titan?
So it's unfortunate because I think the submersible, I don't know that much about the submersible industry, but it sounds like this person cut corners. It's not as easy to cut corners in space, even when you're unregulated. I don't think Richard Branson wants to kill anybody in space.
Right,
I think
of course, everyone wants to.
They're going to try very hard not to. But the fact is, space is hard. Space wants to kill you. Space is going to end up killing some people, and we have to accept that risk if we want to continue to explore and expand our species.
And so, Michelle, what is the acceptable level of risk that people are taking when they go to space or when they go to deep water like that?
I think it has to be your decision, and we have something called informed consent. And so you literally, the one thing the FAA does regulate is it says when you take humans into space, you have to tell them all the different ways they're going to die. You have to tell them all the times you've had an accident. So we have to have very truly informed consent, and I think people ought to have a right to do that.
I think the one thing that I find interesting is that we go anywhere and they say sign the back of this, you get a ticket to an event, and they say it's in the fine print. And the issue is there's a difference between informed consent and knowing what you're actually signing, isn't that? I mean, that's the problem, is the fine print.
Exactly, and that's one of the biggest concerns from the legal standpoint is we know there are plaintiffs' lawyers out there who are going to say, well, no, they were, they were so excited about space that they didn't really read the waivers and so forth, and that's something we want to prevent.
I tell the story of how in a local news job, I got to take a training fighter pilot, go on a training jet, pull several Gs, all that. It was fun. And they were like, if you need to eject, here's the eject button. And I was like, nope, there's going to be no ejecting. If this thing goes down, I'm going down with it. It's the acceptable risk that you take.
Right.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.